What's going on, superhero fans? And guys, The Boys Season 5 is almost over, and honestly, I genuinely have no idea how they're supposed to pull this ending off. Because right now, this show feels like it's heading straight toward a lose-lose finale. And the craziest part is, even Eric Kripke himself basically admitted that ending the show properly is the hardest part. He literally said the most difficult thing about a final season is landing the plane. And if we're being real, that statement alone should make every fan a little nervous. Because at this point in the story, there are still way too many unresolved plot lines, way too many sideline characters, and Homelander has become more overpowered than ever before. So today, I'm going to explain why. Even if the finale has some amazing moments, there's still a very high chance it disappoints people. And honestly, there are some pretty solid reasons why. First, let's talk about what Kripke actually said. He admitted he's anxious about whether the ending will satisfy fans because people judge an entire series based on the finale. If the ending fails, suddenly everyone starts questioning whether the show was ever truly great to begin with. And look, that's concerning. Because when the creator himself sounds unsure, it creates doubt. Maybe he's just trying to stay realistic after seeing other major shows crash at the finish line. But personally, I think he's fully aware of how dangerous finales are now, especially after audiences have become way harsher on endings over the last few years. Now, to be fair, Season 5 definitely had some incredible highs. The scenes involving Homelander, Billy Butcher, and Soldier Boy have been insanely strong. And honestly, Episode 1 felt like one of the best episodes in the entire series. It started the season with so much momentum that it genuinely looked like this could become the best season of The Boys ever made. And of course, Anthony Starr continues to carry this show on his back. His performance as Homelander is still absolutely terrifying. Even when the story slows down, his presence alone keeps everything engaging. But the biggest issue, and something fans online keep pointing out, is the pacing. The season started strong, but after episode 2 or 3, the momentum slowed down hard. And the problem is that the slow build hasn't really led to massive payoffs yet. Then there's the whole Compound V1 storyline. The entire season basically revolves around who gets V1 first. The concept itself is interesting, but it also feels strangely familiar. It's another everyone chasing one powerful object storyline. We've already seen this formula before in movies like Avengers, Infinity War with the Infinity Stones. The first time you see that concept, it feels epic. But when the same structure keeps getting reused, it starts feeling repetitive instead of unpredictable. And honestly, I think the writers could have done something way more complex with the final season instead of centering everything around a single power upgrade. Now, because the middle episodes moved slower, all the pressure is suddenly on the finale to wrap everything up fast. And that's where the real problem starts. After episode 6, Homelander now has V1 and is basically immortal. Which means episode 7 will probably just be the boys hiding underground, making plans, regrouping, maybe even leading into some kind of time skip before the final battle. But then comes episode 8. And apparently, it's still just a normal-length finale. That's insane to me. Because there are way too many storylines left unresolved for 1 hour to handle properly. Honestly, even a 2-hour finale would struggle. We literally saw this happen with Stranger Things. That show had a massive finale runtime and still couldn't fully resolve everything cleanly. Then we get to the character problem. Ryan was supposed to be one of the most important pieces of the entire story. The show built him up as the key to Homelander's future, and now he's barely even in the season. So if they suddenly throw him into the finale at the last second, it won't feel earned. It'll feel forced. Same thing with Queen Maeve and several other missing characters. If they randomly return during the finale just for epic moments, it could easily come across as rushed fan service instead of satisfying storytelling. And then there's the deaths. So far, there really haven't been major main character deaths this season. Which means if the finale suddenly kills multiple important characters all at once, it's going to feel less like emotional storytelling and more like pure shock value. Big deaths need build-up. And right now, the setup just doesn't feel strong enough. Now let's talk about the actual ending possibilities. There are basically only 2 major outcomes. Either the boys win, or Homelander wins. If Homelander wins, the ending risks feeling pointless because he's already been on top since season 1. It wouldn't feel shocking anymore. It would just feel expected. But if the boys somehow beat him, that also risks feeling unrealistic. For 5 seasons, they've barely been able to survive against him. And now suddenly they're supposed to defeat an even more powerful version of Homelander after he becomes basically immortal? That's hard to make believable. Especially now that Soldier Boy is potentially on his side too. The third option is turning Butcher into the final villain, but honestly, that doesn't fully work either. Yes, Butcher has always been morally gray, but turning him into a straight-up villain at the very end would probably damage his entire character arc. The show has repeatedly shown that despite everything, he still has humanity left. He still cares about Huey, Starlight, Kimiko, and the rest of the team. So making him evil just for a twist could feel forced instead of tragic. Even the fights themselves feel difficult to make satisfying. Butcher's tentacle powers have already looked weaker compared to Homelander, who counters them pretty easily. So if those powers suddenly become strong enough to beat him, fans are probably going to call it plot armor. Back in Season 3, Butcher at least had laser vision, which made him feel more balanced in combat because he could fight Homelander from a distance. Now that advantage is gone. So the final battle risks feeling completely one-sided unless the writers pull out something huge. And honestly, the overall structure of this finale is starting to remind me a lot of Stranger Things. Either we get last-minute emotional deaths, or almost everybody survives. And both outcomes completely depend on execution. Because right now, after episode 6, the show feels locked into a very specific direction. There's not much room left to pivot anymore. And that's exactly why I think the finale, even if it delivers hype moments, is still carrying massive risk. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they somehow pull off one of the greatest endings in superhero TV history. Or maybe this becomes another example of a show that was incredible for years, but stumbled right at the finish line. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you agree with me? Or do you think the finale's going to surprise everybody? And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more superhero content every single week. So yeah guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.